Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest movie review. Okay, so this is a movie that I honestly never thought I'd be talking about. Certainly, it's a movie I never thought I'd be reviewing, but Transformers Age of Extinction, the fourth in this epic series from Michael Bay. Now, I've never seen the first three movies, and I think I'm better off for that, to be quite honest with you. Because even though I haven't seen the movies, I've seen reviews of the movies. I've heard enough to know that, yeah, those three movies were pretty terrible, to say the least. But I was looking for a movie to go see, and again, a movie to review for the channel. And obviously, I saw that there was a whole new a new cast in this one. No more Shia LaBeouf, thank God for that. This time we have Mark Wahlberg, and I really like Mark Wahlberg. He's a he's a real solid actor, and this movie is the perfect example of the difference that having a competent leading man can make, because even though I haven't seen the original, the first three Transformers movies, I've seen Shia LaBeouf in a number of movies, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, which I prefer to, I refuse to count that as part of the Indiana Jones series for me. That stops at The Last Crusade, Also seen him in the sequel to Wall Street, and I saw him in that 2006 movie, Bobby, the Emilio Estevez movie. And do you know what? There was a common theme throughout those three movies, that Shia LaBeouf let the side down. My God, he really, really spoiled those movies for me. But obviously, we didn't have that problem here because he was gone. He said he'd had enough of making these movies. He didn't want to make any more. He did us a solid, everybody. Yeah, he did us a huge favour when he refused to be in any more Transformers movies. He didn't want to be in them. We didn't want to see him in them. So thank God for that. And I've got to say, Mark Wahlberg, fantastic replacement. You couldn't have picked a better guy. Because as I'll get into throughout this review, like I say, he's a competent leading man. Obviously, you guys who've watched the previous Transformers movies are probably aware that the dialogue isn't great. It's far from it. But Mark Wahlberg is one of those guys, is no matter how dumb and how lousy the dialogue is, he's one of those actors who could make it work. Other people have said this. He plays dumb so well. Like you say, you're seeing a good example of it in Pain and Gain, from last year. He does such a great, my name's Daniel Lugo and I believe in fitness. He does such a great job of playing dumb. And he's doing that to some extent in this movie. And also, just as importantly, if not more so, you can buy him as an action guy. You look at him and think, he can handle himself in a fight scene. Like, he has a fight scene in this movie with, sorry, not to jump too far ahead, but one of Kelsey Grammer's guys, like his right hand man. He and Mark Wahlberg have a fight, and you can buy the fact that Mark Wahlberg could take this guy. Whereas when you look at Shia LaBeouf, there is no way that you're buying that he could handle himself in a fist fight. There's absolutely no way. Not happening. He is not an action guy, So again, one of the things that makes Mark Wahlberg such a great replacement and such a better choice to be the lead in these movies. And he is an absolute joy to watch. And as you can probably tell, I was genuinely surprised. I actually really liked this movie. Yeah, because I even went on, I was even saying, I'm gonna go to the cinema tomorrow, try and make it through Transformers 4. And, and hey, it was a lot of fun. And a lot of that was thanks to Mark Wahlberg, and also Stanley Tucci as well. Stanley Tucci in this movie is absolutely amazing. He is amazing. I mean, you see that bit in the trailer when he's in the back of the car, all the chaos is going on around him, like, oh my god! That huge Dutch angle close-up on on Stanley Tucci's face. Yeah, he is hamming it up like mad in this movie. Same as Mark Wahlberg, because they both know the type of movie that they're in, alright? They know exactly the type of movie that they're in. They are the two shining stars of that movie for me. They are the highlights of Transformers 4 for me. But yeah, I guess we should get right into the movie. But yeah, like I say, I am one of the least qualified guys to talk about this movie because, like I say, I wasn't, I didn't watch the original cartoon series. I haven't watched any of the previous 3 Transformers movies, but I know you guys probably won't hold that against me. But yeah, I managed to make it through the reviewing the X-Men Days of Future Past movie, alright, even though I wasn't an expert on that series, so I think I might do pretty well on this, but I'll certainly try. Okay, so we start off, boom, movie starts, title card, Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, and we open up in outer space, and suddenly this fleet of starships arrive. I was thinking, oh, hold on, has Admiral Akbar and his fleet arrived? Okay. Yeah, and basically, there's the ships set off a huge explosion in fire at Earth, and we cut to Earth, and it turns out that the movie at the minute isn't set in the present at this moment in time. It's set in the prehistoric times. The see dinosaurs running around, and so basically this explosion fired from this Starfleet caused the Ice Age, apparently. And then, following this, we cut to the present, where, over in, the Antarctic, where, obviously, it's all iced over, we have, basically, a salvage team set up, like an archaeological team set up. And we find out later that these guys are working for Stanley Tucci, and basically they come across some remnants of dinosaurs, who were caught in this explosion and ice and were frozen. And we find out later on that this explosion caused, as well as causing the Ice Age, it left a lot of what they dub transformium lying around in the ice. And obviously this is what Stanley Tucci has his team has sent a team over there for, to essentially mine this transformium out of the ice and bring it back. And they've been using this transformium to create their own Transformers. But we'll get to that. And so after we've been introduced to this archaeological team, we get introduced to Mark Wahlberg's character. And Mark Wahlberg's introduction to this movie is absolutely fantastic. We just see him cruising along in his car on his way to work, some sweet beats playing on the radio. It was like, alright, our leading man, ladies and gentlemen, I was getting flashbacks to Roy Scheider's introduction in Jaws 2. You know, when he's on his way to the when he's on his way to that party, he's got a Downtown playing on the radio. It's quite a similar shot, really. Yeah, so like I say, I'm loving it already. You know, I got a huge damn chuckle out of Mark Wahlberg throughout this movie, and it didn't waste any time as well, because like I say, this was amazing. Such a cool intro for the lead character. And anyway, he arrives at work and we get introduced to, you probably heard about this already guys, but the comic relief for this movie, who's the guy working with him. And we find out that Mark Wahlberg runs his own business, like a repair shop. You know, like a salvage hunt, you know, going around finding bits of what other people would refer to as junk, and he says, no, this isn't junk, you know, like, your junk is my treasure, basically, you know, I'm going to fix this up and, you know, maybe even build something new from it. And him and his friend go over to this old cinema that's closing down, or this old movie theatre, and basically, you know, pay the owners of the cinema, you know, a set amount, and they can go rummage round and take whatever the hell they please. And while they're there, Mark Wahlberg comes across this truck that's just sitting there at the back of the theatre, and this intrigued me straight away, because I was looking, and this truck looked identical, virtually identical, to the truck that was used in the Road Warrior, you know, to drive the gas tanker. Yeah, so I was thinking, this is amazing. And anyway, Mark Wahlberg, you know, he's intrigued, and he goes, this has got his attention, and he goes over to it, and, you know, he looks inside, and all these, like, empty bullet shells and, you know, like, ammunition is just, you know, just falls out the door. Like, what the hell's gone on with this thing? And you know, you've got bullet holes in the front of it. And I was thinking, oh, it must be the same truck from the Road Warrior then, you know, because obviously this truck's seen some action, and like I say, Mark Wahlberg wants this damn thing. And anyway, he takes it, because he even says to the owners, you know, how much you want for this truck, and they don't even know where the hell it's came from, so they just let him have it for free. So he gets it back to his, he takes it back home. He has, you know, his this huge garage set up there, or what he dubs his laboratory, his invention, you know, for his inventions, and you know, he starts working on it. You know, he's start like repairing it, and anyway, he finds something while he's repairing the truck, and he figures out that it's a transformer. You know, you know that line in the movie, I think we just found a transformer. Mark Wahlberg's delivery, and this is hilarious. It's like you say, you know, just completely dumb in his delivery. I think we just found a transformer. But while all this is going on, we're introduced to Kelsey Grammer's character, who is essentially our lead villain for this movie, because basically he works for the government, and he's basically been commissioned to hunt down what's left over of the Transformers, you know, both Autobots and Decepticons, and wipe them off the face of the earth. So, and you see this throughout the first half of the movie, you know, like, yeah, tactical teams, special forces deployed to hunt down and destroy the various Transformers. And because they reference, the reference repeatedly throughout the movie that it's in response to the Battle of Chicago, which, if I'm not mistaken, you guys will probably know if you've seen the previous trilogy, which assumedly took place at the end of the third movie. And so obviously this is, the amount of destruction that battle caused. Obviously this Kelsey Grammer's actions are in response to that. And when you're first introduced to Mark Wahlberg's character, when he's cruising along, you see this big signboard with "Remember Chicago." So yeah, then you put into this is going to come back and bite Mark Wahlberg, because obviously he's discovered a transformer and he fails to report it. That's the thing. If you discover a transformer, you have to report it to the government, and failing to do so is a federal offence. Like an act of treason, basically. And so this is gonna come back and bite Mark Wahlberg in a major way. And anyway, eventually they manage to get this truck up and running. Mark Wahlberg does, and it transforms into Optimus Prime. So, like the leader of the Autobots, as you guys well know. And yeah, Optimus Prime's introduction to this movie is in a major way. He as soon as he transforms, guns blazing. Yeah, he starts firing left and right, because obviously, he thinks he knows that the humans are after him. So obviously, he thinks these guys are there to try and destroy him. But then obviously Mark Wahlberg finally manages to defuse the situation. No, we're trying to help you. We're here to help. Again, Mark Wahlberg's awesome dumb delivery in this. Honestly, I had to be so careful in the movie, because obviously there were other people in the movie theatre with me, but I was just chugging along. I had to be so careful not to just burst out, honestly. So yeah, Mark Wahlberg explains, we found you, we've repaired you as best we can, but we mean you no harm. And then Optimus Prime, calms down. He says, he says, I owe you a great debt. Your debt. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for repairing me. And then that's where things take a bit of a turn for the worst. Yeah, because apparently, when Mark Wahlberg was transporting the truck from the movie theatre back to his house, it had been picked up on on the street cameras, on the CCTV, and like I say, it had been, Kelsey Grammer had got wind of this, and he'd seen the footage, and he was pretty sure that could very well be a transformer. And so he dispatches a tactical team led by his right-hand man to go over to Mark Wahlberg's residence and, take the truck by any means necessary, even if they have to use lethal force, So anyway, they show up at Mark Wahlberg's house. And anyway, they ask, where's the truck? And obviously Mark Wahlberg, I don't know, man, I don't know what you're talking about, what truck? And like I said, the guy, this guy of Kelsey Grammer's is not having any of it. And like I say, he basically goes to arrest Mark Wahlberg, and he holds Mark Wahlberg. Sorry, yeah, I forgot this. Mark Wahlberg, of course, has a daughter in this. His wife died some time ago, and like I say, it's just him and his daughter now. And yeah, hold his daughter at gunpoint. I want to tell me where the transformer is. I don't know. And then, because what happened is, obviously Optimus Prime is still in the shed, but he's basically managed to hide under the floorboards, because obviously there was a big hole underneath the floorboards where he's managed to hide himself. And then he realises that Mark Wahlberg's in trouble, so he suddenly explodes out the floor, shoots the whole barn up, bursts out, shoots everyone else off. The tactical team retreat and get in the cars, and then suddenly the daughter's boyfriend shows up. Mark Wahlberg's reaction to this is hilarious, because as far as he's concerned up till this point, his daughter's single, because they are his ground rules. You're not dating. Under no circumstances are you dating. You've got to concentrate on school. Because he even says at one point, this is our agreement. We're a team. I don't date. You don't date. And like I said, do you know what? Mark Wahlberg, by the sounds of it, because I think he even said in an interview, I am genuinely like that with my daughters. I am not letting them date. He would be the father-in-law from hell. I swear to God. And like I say, Mark Wahlberg, you don't want to mess with him, because he can go. He could beat the hell out of you, so you wouldn't want to get into a confrontation with him. You wouldn't want to argue with him. You manage to pull one of his daughters, and then she takes you home for the first time. You see him stood there on the doorstep. Do you know? I might actually be having second thoughts about this. I don't know if I want to go through with this. And you know what? I don't think anyone would blame you, because Mark Wahlberg, and he brings this into the movie as well. You don't want to mess with him. So yeah, her boyfriend shows up, and we find out he's a professional speed racer, and he's even got the car with him. So he turns up and says, "Get in, get in." So Mark Wahlberg, his daughter, and obviously his friend who he works with, because he's just been hanging around. He hasn't missed a moment of this, and I think he was actually the guys who he was actually one of the involved in alerting the guys who work for Kelsey Grammer. I think we have a transformer, because I think because obviously these guys Mark Wahlberg and his family are hard pressed for money, like the verging on bankruptcy, and that's part of the deal. Like they say, if you report a transformer and you assist, if you cooperate with the government, you could very well receive an award for up to $100,000, and that's what Mark Wahlberg's friends thinking of. We could really use this money. But obviously things don't go down. Things could get a bit out of hand. They don't go down as planned. So anyway, those three get into the car and escape, and obviously Optimus Prime is fighting everyone else off, giving Mark Wahlberg and his family a chance to escape. And like I said, this is where obviously Mark Wahlberg meet your daughter's boyfriend for the first time, and Mark Wahlberg is having absolutely none of this. Yeah, he's furious, man. He hates this guy, He doesn't even care that he's saved the life. He doesn't even care that his daughter's boyfriend's just saved their lives. He doesn't care. But anyway, they manage to escape, and they manage to escape from the guys that are chasing them. And then just when they think they've escaped, we're introduced to this other Transformer, he's neither a Decepticon nor an Autobot. He is a Transformer, but he's like a bounty. You even say he's a bounty hunter who Kelsey Grammer has contracted to help track down the remaining Autobots and Decepticons and annihilate them. And this guy, basically, if Wyatt Earp was a Transformer, this would be him. This guy doesn't take any prisoners. and like I say, because we see him early on in the movie as well, you know, like when he's tracking down these other Transformers that are in hiding. And so he shows up, so kind of like just when they thought there was, just when Mark Wahlberg and co thought they were safe. Oh, I don't think so. Um, Basically, they managed to get out of the car, and then this bounty hunter just blows the car up, and they're running, you know, trying to get away, and Mark Wahlberg's friend, you know, the one who he was working with, the comic relief in this movie, he gets caught in one of the explosions fired by this bounty hunter, and my God, he just boom! When he gets caught in this explosion, he just gets incinerated. You know, he's just like, honestly, just burnt to a crisp. But he's like, basically, he's effectively been frozen in the last position he was in. You know, so he's kind of like he's like basically like a statue right now. So this is, you know, this like immediately, you know, oh God, this Transformer could be the most deadly one of the lot. But fortunately Optimus Prime shows up, and you know, he's turned back into the truck, and so obviously Mark Wahlberg, his daughter and his daughter's boyfriend all scramble into this truck and, you know, get the hell out of there. And then they managed to find like an abandoned, I think it's an abandoned gas station. Obviously Mark Wahlberg and co there get out and hide out there, and obviously Optimus Prime goes and scouts ahead to make sure the coast is clear. And the in this abandoned gas station, they managed to stock up on some supplies. Now, from there, again, Optimus Prime comes back and picks them up, and they head off. Now, while they're travelling, we're introduced to a number of other Autobots who have managed to, you know, evade capture and have managed to survive. And basically that's where Optimus Prime is heading now to meet up with the rest of the guys. And on his way there's this really cool scene, you know, because you guys probably know this already, but Optimus Prime he's able to, you know, like all the Transformers, when they're in their vehicle form, they're able to scan other similar vehicles and adopt their design. And obviously because at this point the truck that Optimus Prime transforms into is a really battered old thing, like I say, it's just been involved with each final chase at the end of the Road Warrior. It's in a pretty bad way, but this fancy truck passes them and Prime scans it, and like I say, it just gets a whole new makeover, you know, the red and blue flame, and it's, like I say, it looks like a brand new truck. So, and again, it's a hell of an improvement, and again, that's how the truck looks for the rest of the movie, because obviously there his colours aren't the you know, the red and orange, you know, and the blue. And so they arrive at, because basically the other Transformers are hiding out, you know, in the in like the wasteland, you know, because it's set in Texas, you know, it's, so in a really remote area. And then finally Optimus Prime and Mark Wahlberg and co arrive, and they have this meeting about what they're going to do next, and they formulate a plan to break into, or to infiltrate the Stanley Tucci's laboratory, you know, and see what's going on, because obviously they know he's connected to it. So you know, if they're going to go get some answers and try to put a stop to it. So, and to do this, obviously, it's going to require Mark Wahlberg and co. So the travel to, it's not specified because obviously Mark Wahlberg and co are living in Texas. and then they travel to where Stanley Tucci's laboratories are. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it states whereabouts in America that is. Presumably, it's outside of Texas. Now, the way they get in is basically they manage to copy one of the identification cards of one of the people who works there, and make duplicates of it to pass, to get them by security. So they manage to infiltrate, and then that's when we realise that Stanley Tucci is working with Kelsey Grammer, and when we realise that they're creating their own Transformers. And we find that they're using like the remains of taking the brain cells and information from Transformers that they've hunted down and destroyed to build these new Transformers. And one of the you see they've got the heads wired up to machinery, and one of the heads is of course Megatron, and they're using him to build this new basically the best of the best, the top of the line state of the art Transformer, which is Stanley Tucci is trying to model after Optimus Prime, called Galvatron, which but they're having problems because for some reason it's always because they've had a number of attempts at creating this particular Transformer, and something's not right, because each time it's they start with Optimus Prime in mind, but the end result is always identical to Megatron, so something's up here. And the fact that they're using his memory, and if the fact that he's the source for this creation, you think something's definitely, this is going to backfire in a major way. And basically Mark Wahlberg, because obviously it's Mark Wahlberg and the daughter's boyfriend who infiltrate who pose as scientists in the laboratory, and they're ultimately discovered when they realise that the same security the same ID card has been used twice. So they capture Mark Wahlberg, and he's sat down face to face with Kelsey Grammer for the first time, and he says, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. If you tell us where Optimus Prime and the rest of the Transformers can be found, or we'll kill you, and we could make life extremely difficult for your daughter as well. But fortunately, before they force Mark Wahlberg to do something he doesn't want to do, the daughter's boyfriend and the rest of the Transformers manage to break him out of there, and they escape. And then and then Kelsey Grammer says to Stanley Tucci, we need to get after him, activate these Transformers that you've built, Galvatron and the various other Transformers so obviously it's on now, from here on out it's non-stop action. You guys probably know, this movie is the best part of 3 hours long, but honestly, certainly when you're viewing it for the first time, it's not really a problem, because like I say, the amount of action in this movie, it's just, like I say, it's a popcorn movie, it's you can't get mad at this movie. And of course, when you've got a competent lead actor like Mark Wahlberg instead of Shia LaBeouf in this movie, it makes all the difference. Someone who's actually likable. And when you've got people like I say, Stanley Tucci, of course, and Kelsey Grammer is really good in this movie too. He's really good. He's really good at playing a villain. He is cold in this movie. I remember in Brad Jones' review of this movie, him and Brian were saying, he's basically playing like Hans Gruber from Die Hard. Yeah, he's basically playing Alan Rickman in Die Hard in this movie. And he kind of is, because like I say, he is so sinister and, he will kill you. He's great. And like I say, there's more of him to come. So yeah, we have. So the guys have managed to escape the laboratory now, and they're trying to get the hell out of there. We need to get out of Dodge before these guys come after us. But anyway, these Transformers of Stanley Tucci's are in pursuit, and they realise that they don't have full control of these guys, because there's even a line, where Stanley Tucci says, we're in control of these guys, right? And then one of the guys says, well, mostly, so that's not good. This is going to build up to a real problem. We've got a real problem here. And then we have this huge battle, because then while Mark Wahlberg and Optimus Prime and everyone are being chased by these Transformers, the bounty hunter working with Kelsey Grammer arrives, and he engages in he attacks Optimus Prime and he beats the hell out of him. And we find out that he's working, as well as working with Kelsey Grammer, he's working for the people, or well, not people, but those who created Optimus Prime and the other Transformers to begin with. So sort of like the powers that be in relation to the Transformers. So yeah, you've got this. They're on this huge highway, and the bounty hunter is beating the hell out of Optimus Prime, and you've got Mark Wahlberg and the daughter's boyfriend have been separated from the daughter at this point, and basically she gets in this nearby car to basically to get out of Dodge, and Optimus gets flung onto this car, like he gets flung onto the bonnet of it, and then the bounty hunter's ship arrives, and deploys this huge net to catch to wrap around this car, and basically to take Optimus Prime up into the ship. So obviously there's Optimus on the car, there's the car, and then inside the car is Mark Wahlberg's daughter. So they're taken hostage by this bounty hunter, and Mark Wahlberg and the boyfriend's daughter and the rest of the Transformers, like Bumblebee's there, and you've got a couple of the other Transformers, they have to go rescue Optimus and rescue Mark Wahlberg's daughter. So they manage to board the ship, and this is where you've probably seen, well, you see it on the poster that Mark Wahlberg has this like awesome gunblade type thing. It's something you'd expect to see in Final Fantasy. And it's a really cool weapon, and it's surprising how powerful the damn thing is as well. Mark Wahlberg kills everyone with this gunblade. So that's where he gets that, on this bounty hunter's ship, and they manage to free because the Mark Wahlberg and the daughter's boyfriend, they split up. They go one way, and the rest, Bumblebee and the other Transformers, go another way. Mark Wahlberg and the boyfriend rescue the daughter, and the other Transformers rescue Optimus. And so then it comes to getting off the ship, because the ship goes to, while they're on the ship, the bounty hunter's getting ready to take off, and yeah, so we have to get off this ship, and we have to get off it now. So Mark Wahlberg manages to find the mechanism to deploy the anchors to keep the ship, from taking off. And anyway, these anchors fly into this nearby building, so this ship ain't going anywhere. and so they need to get off. And what they do is obviously the only real way to get off is to go down these anchor lines. And like I say, it's more because like I say there. You know, these buildings are like skyscrapers, you know, so they're a lot. It's if they fall, it's a long way down, and so they get so far across, and then the daughter, because as the of course the ropes on the anchor get, you know, they get narrower as they go down. And the daughter gets so far, and then she can't go. You know, she's having trouble going. She says, "I can't go any further. I'm going back to the ship." But then we realise that's not such a good idea, because like these wolf-type creatures have come out of the ship, and you know, basically they start crawling. You know, they're coming after Mark Wahlberg and his daughter and the boyfriend, so they're crawling down the wires after him, and like Mark Wahlberg sees him, and he delivers my favourite line of the whole movie. You know, because he tells his daughter to, you know, keep down, honey, keep down. And then he gets his the gun blade ready. He says, "Look, I'm going to have to point this in your general direction, okay? It's going to look as though I'm pointing it at you, but I'm not. I'm pointing it behind you. You gotta trust me, honey. You know, stay down." And basically he kills a number of these wolf-type creatures off. So he, you know, saves himself, the daughter, and the boyfriend. But then there's a number of those creatures still left aboard the ship, so they start gnawing at these damn anchor wires, and you know, you just see you know, one wire falls, another wire falls. It's getting closer and closer to where Mark Wahlberg and co are. But fortunately at the last minute, the rest of the Transformers arrive and destroy what's left of those creatures. And then obviously one of them transforms into like an airship, and Mark Wahlberg and everyone jump into it, and that's how they manage to finally get off this airship. And then you have a really impressive action sequence, really going around the whole city. You know, it's kind of like something you'd see in Star Wars. You know, like a ship being chased by a number of other you know, kind of like the Transformers equivalent to like the buzz droids, you know, from Star Wars. And they, you know, basically they have to use the guns on the ship to defend and fight them off. And like I say, they finally manage to escape. Now from there, yes, because that's something I forgot to mention before. The bounty hunter tries to take off. In exchange for Optimus Prime, he gives Stanley Tucci and Kelsey Grammer what they call a seed. You know, basically it's this big metal thing shaped in the shape of a seed, and we find out that basically this is a bomb, and what it does is, like, you know, they set it off in an area of their choosing, and this will create tons of, like, a decade's supply of that transformium, you know, what they've been mining out over in the Arctic. And so from there they go over to China, because they're gonna detonate this bomb somewhere near there. And then Mark Wahlberg and the rest of the Transformers have to go over to China then and that's where the climax of the movie takes place, in China. And they're going to have to stop this bomb from being detonated. because they even go into later on. They even go into this, what's the range of this thing, and obviously it's got a huge range on it. They say it's basically a tactical nuke. That's what they even refer to it as. That's a direct quote from the movie. It's basically a tactical nuke. So obviously the effect of this going off would be devastating, and because they even refer to it, it'd be Armageddon if this thing was set off. So they go to their laboratory, or Stanley Tucci goes to his laboratory that he has is set up over in China, and Kelsey Grammer and his right hand man go with him, and then because what's happened at this point is they've realised that these transformers that they've created have become self-aware, and they've lost control of the damn things. Like I say, Galvatron has took control. He's in control of all of those transformers that Stanley Tucci's built, and they established that Galvatron is basically Megatron reincarnated. And so Galvatron and his team of Transformers, they're coming to China, and they're coming for this seed. And and Stanley Tucci realises this, and Mark Wahlberg manages to get in contact with him and says, under no circumstances are you to let that seed fall into Galvatron's hands. Keep it away from him. And while Mark Wahlberg and the Autobots are en route to China, Galvatron and his team show up first, and they attack the Stanley Tucci's laboratory, and Stanley Tucci has to bail, and he suddenly decides, what, I don't want to be in league with Kelsey Grammer anymore, and he bails on Kelsey Grammer and his guard, and he manages to he gets the seed, and with two of the people that work for him help him get away in a car basically, and Stanley Tucci and his right hand man chase after him. And while they're chasing after him, Kelsey Grammer gets on the phone and calls in one of his special forces teams, one of his tactical teams, to hunt down and kill Stanley Tucci and take the seed for and then they get into, like, I'm not sure whereabouts in China, it might be Beijing, I could be wrong, but they get into like the populated area in China, and they ditch the car, and one of the people that work with him is she goes one way, and Stanley Tucci and the other woman go another way, and they commandeer this motorcycle. And this made me chuckle because they essentially reenact the motorbike chase from Tomorrow Never Dies. Like, she's driving and Stanley Tucci's on the back holding onto this bomb, trying to kill, and do you know what? To their credit, they do manage to outrun Kelsey Grammer, and they manage to hold on until Mark Wahlberg and help arrives. But during this chase scene, Stanley Tucci is hilarious. Honestly, I swear to God that some of his dialogue in this scene was improvised, because some of the stuff he's just coming out with is amazing. Because that's the thing, Stanley Tucci is introduced into this movie about halfway through it, and then from then on he's like a main player throughout the rest of the movie. So yeah, basically Stanley Tucci makes it to the roof of this building, and Mark Wahlberg and co are going to meet him there. And then while he's waiting, the bounty hunter shows up again, because obviously Optimus Prime's escaped, and he's, basically he's not leaving without Optimus Prime, so he's coming back to kill, to capture him again. And fortunately then, Mark Wahlberg and co arrive, and they meet up with Stanley Tucci and says, "We got to get the hell out of here now." But in the meantime, you've probably seen in the trailer with those that bit where the Transformers, like Optimus Prime and his team, are riding like dinosaurs, and they've got swords and everything. It looked a bit like, it's kind of like Michael Bay saved the best for last, basically. Because it's something, you really need to see it to believe it. Transformers riding robotic dinosaurs with, broadswords. Because on one of the ships that they managed to commandeer, they have these on board, like they have these swords on board, and these ancient Transformers, and Optimus manages to convince them to fight with them and to help them out, and and that's what they transform into, the ancient warriors, as opposed to transforming into a car or some sort of vehicle. They transform, like some of them transform into dinosaurs, and one of them transforms into like a bird, and so they're on the way now to reinforce because I think one or two of the Transformers stayed behind to help Mark Wahlberg, and then Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and the Samurai Transformer, voiced by Ken Watanabe, went back to the ship and confronted these ancient warriors. So they're on the way. And so basically, Mark Wahlberg and co just have to last out as long as they can until Optimus Prime arrives. And they manage to. Like I say, Mark Wahlberg with his awesome gun blade, basically they've been pinned down in this building, which is just made out of glass. Like basically, well, Stanley Tucci even says, "Oh, this is a fantastic place to hide, in a giant glass box." And like I say, the whole place has just been shot up. Like I say, explosions going off left, right, and centre. Michael Bay, he loves his explosions. But yeah, it's getting pretty intense. And like I said, they're really outnumbered at this point. They managed to kill a number of the enemy Transformers. And they managed to hold on for quite a while. But then, fortunately, Optimus Prime and the reinforcements arrive, and they manage to turn things around back into their favour. And this gives Mark Wahlberg and Stanley Tucci a chance to move, and get this explosion somewhere safe. Because basically they just have to try and do what they can to keep it out of Kelsey Grammer's hands and also Galvatron's hands. And basically Mark Wahlberg splits up from Stanley Tucci and the girlfriend and and the daughter and her boyfriend, because they're on the top of this building, and they're going to go down in the elevator and escape. But there's too much weight, basically, with all four of them in this bomb in there. So basically, Mark Wahlberg says, "You go, I'll play distraction." So they escape. And then this is what I mentioned earlier, the fight he has with Kelsey Grammer's right hand man, because he's there and he chases after Mark Wahlberg, and they have this. It's a really good fight scene as well, chase sequence, because how they go because they're fighting the way down this building. They're going from like balcony to balcony on all these different levels, and anyway, they eventually crash through into one of the because it's basically like a block of flats, you know, and they crash into one of these flats, and then they have a full-on fight scene, and yeah, Mark Wahlberg wins by throwing the guy through the window and sending him, like I say, from one of the top floors, and basically the guy falls to his death. And it was a really good fight scene as well. And like I say, it brings me back to that point of, you know, having, having a really good, having a solid leading man, having, a leading man who can handle himself in action sequences, you know. Like a really competent lead actor, because you couldn't imagine Shia LaBeouf doing something like that, getting into a one-on-one fight like that. Well, even if he did, it would be so lame, you know, because again, like I said, he just, you know, you cannot lead, you know. I refuse to believe that Shia LaBeouf could handle himself in a one-on-one fight. I don't think so. You cannot convince me that that is the case. And from what I heard in reviews as well, that's exactly right, because he was relying on like Bumblebee to save him the whole time. Whenever he got into any trouble, it was always Bumblebee saving him. You know, you never heard, I never heard anything to suggest that he ever could, look after himself, and he always needed the Transformers there to save him. He was the always one that needed to be saved, and I could never imagine him doing something like, you know, playing distraction while the others got to safety, you know. And because I remember people saying, you know, how whiny his character was. His character was worse than useless, you know, saying, why are these movies focused on this character, you know, whereas in this movie you can understand why the movie is focused on Mark Wahlberg, because he's awesome. You know, he's basically an action hero in this movie. And so Mark Wahlberg manages to rejoin the others. You know, he catches up with them, saying, you know, and then boom, things have turned up yet, because the bounty hunter arrives for the final fight between him versus Optimus Prime. You know, this is what you guys have probably been waiting to see. Optimus Prime one-on-one with this guy. Because like I say, this bounty hunter has been built up throughout the whole movie. And obviously we had a bit of a fight between them earlier on, and he beat the hell out of Optimus Prime, you know. So here we go, one-on-one for the final time. Let's see what happens. And I'll tell you what, you know, I mean, even though I'm not really a fan of Transformers, the action sequences in this movie were pretty spectacular. And you know, when you saw the Transformers fighting, you know, seeing Transformers rip other Transformers apart, it is cool. You've got to love it. And this fight scene was an awesome fight scene. That's another thing I remember hearing in, I'm not sure which Transformers, it might have been the second movie, that you finally get a scene where Optimus finally fights Megatron in that movie, but yet the fight's over in seconds, whereas in this movie it goes on for a good long while, you know, like it is pretty back and forth, because like I say, Optimus and the bounty hunter are fighting it out, and then the bounty hunter eventually starts to get the upper hand, but then Bumblebee jumps in and saves Optimus' life, you know, But then obviously Bumblebee gets, Bumblebee is no real match for this bounty hunter. So then Mark Wahlberg shows up, and Mark Wahlberg goes one-on-one with this damn bounty hunter, and it is amazing. He's got his gunblade, he's blasting the hell out of it, and then it gets physical, because I was thinking, oh well, he's probably just going to be taking shots, covering Optimus and Bumblebee. But no, it gets physical. Like I say, the bounty hunter sends him flying, and he's got Mark Wahlberg pinned down, and he's taking shots at him, but fortunately Mark Wahlberg's got that gunblade there, so he's managing to deflect all these awesome shots. And then, finally, this gives Optimus Prime enough time to recover. And obviously he charges the bounty hunter again, and obviously saves Mark Wahlberg. And Mark Wahlberg manages to get back up, and he's watching the fight. And then, out of nowhere, Kelsey Grammer shows up with with a gun and starts unloading on Mark Wahlberg. And Mark Wahlberg manages to deflect some shots with the gunblade, but he accidentally drops it. And then he's held at gunpoint by Kelsey Grammer, completely unarmed at this point, and Kelsey Grammer's, Kelsey Grammer's going to kill Mark Wahlberg. He says, you had a choice between us and them, and you chose them. And just as he's about to kill Mark Wahlberg, Optimus Prime manages to, buy some time while fighting against this bounty hunter, turns round, just blasts Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer is killed off so unceremoniously. Optimus Prime flat out shoots Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer just gets caught in this huge explosion. He's dead. And oh my god, that was awesome, Yeah, Kelsey Grammer dies really unceremoniously in this one, because like you say, he's got Mark Wahlberg held at gunpoint, and then out of nowhere, boom, dead. Thanks for coming, Kelsey Grammer. And then, so he saves Mark Wahlberg's life, and then he finally manages to beat the bounty hunter, and he does kill him. Yeah, the bounty hunter's finally destroyed, and then because while this is going on, of course, you've got the rest of the Transformers fighting against this Transformers that Stanley Tucci created, and they managed to fight them off. And because that was another thing as well, it really was Armageddon, this whole climax of the movie, because the airship that the bounty hunter was operating, because it has the magnetic force, which it used earlier when it captured Optimus Prime and the car in which Mark Wahlberg's daughter was, and basically it was just picking things up with this magnetic force and dropping them back down again, trying to kill Mark Wahlberg and Stanley Tucci and co. Like I say, the amount of mass destruction that was going on, poor China. So yeah, fortunately, they managed to fight the rest of the Transformers off, and they managed to save the day. Like I said, they managed to secure this, this seed, this bomb, and like I said, the bounty hunter's dead. Because that's the thing, in addition to them Transformers led by Galvatron, there was also the men that the bounty hunter had with him. So it was kind of like, it was like basically two separate forces on one small force, but yeah, finally they managed to save the day. And they manage to secure the bomb, and we see Galvatron, because Galvatron hadn't been killed, he kind of like disappeared while all this action was going on, and it shows you him escaping, saying, you know, we'll meet again, Optimus Prime. So basically, you know, setting up for Transformers 5. So that's probably what will happen in the next movie, Optimus Prime versus Galvatron. Because I think that's probably fair to say that obviously that bounty hunter and Kelsey Grammer were the main villains of this movie, and then obviously Galvatron being introduced in this movie, but for a much bigger role in the Transformers 5. You know, and that'll be something to see, because he looked pretty impressive in this. You know, like obviously this bounty hunter looked impressive, but Galvatron as well looked just as, like, this bounty hunter, yeah, you bought that he posed a real threat, you know, you bought that he could kill Optimus Prime, and it was much the same with Galvatron as well, you know. So that'll be something to see in the 5th movie, Optimus Prime vs Galvatron. And yeah, that's what happens. Galvatron escapes, you know, setting up for the next movie. We'll meet again, and it's all happy. They're all reunited. They're all hugging. You know, that was great. That to see Mark Wahlberg and Stanley Tucci hug. You know, and then obviously you've probably heard already. You know, they have that line saying, finally, Mark Wahlberg accepts the daughter's boyfriend, saying, "Oh, you're not so bad after all." Because apparently this comes out of nowhere. The daughter's boyfriend is Irish, and Mark Wahlberg seems to have a problem with this. He keeps calling him Lucky Charms throughout the whole movie. So saying, "Oh, you're not so bad, Lucky Charms, after all." So they're happy, and then the daughter says, "But Dad, our home was destroyed. We don't have a home to go to." And then obviously, as you've probably heard already, Stanley Tucci just comes up and says, "You know what? I can probably help you with that." So, alright, Stanley Tucci's going to give them money for a new house. Awesome! Yeah, they'll get that $100,000 after all. Yeah. But, yeah, like I say, I think this, I've heard as well, like, it kind of mirrored the other movie, or previous Transformers movies, in the respect that, like, I'd heard with those previous 3 that, like, the second half of the movie was just all-out action, and of course, the second half of this movie is all-out action, you know? So again, the fact that it's almost 3 hours, when you're watching it for the first time in the theatre, it's not so bad at all, you know. Like I say, and the fact, like, Mark Wahlberg's so much fun, he carries this movie, and like I say, when Stanley Tucci does as well, he steals the show, and Kelsey Grammer's really good in this movie too. So those 3 guys, they're really good, you know. Like, maybe, because even though I haven't seen the previous 3 Transformers movies, I came in kind of like at the right time, because you could say that this was kind of like the reset button, in the respect that we've got a whole new cast of characters. So, and from the sounds of it, a hell of a lot more interesting and a hell of a lot better cast of characters in this movie, and a lot more likeable characters as well. But yeah, just to finish off with the movie, like I said, save the day, they secure the bomb, and that's how the movie ends, basically, with Optimus Prime takes this seed, this bomb, and he says, you know, "I'll take this and hide it where no one will ever be able to get their hands on it," and basically he shoots off up to space, and that's the final shot of the movie, you know, with some closing narration from Optimus Prime, and him shooting out to space, taking this bomb with him, going to hide it somewhere safe, and effectively waging war on Galvatron and his group of Transformers. And then that's basically the end of the movie. So again, setting up really well for this 5th movie. And like I say, knowing Michael Bay, you know, I think plans for the fifth one will already be in place, you know. And you know what? I'll probably go to see it. I think, you know, I was surprised by this movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So, but like I say, as soon as the action's over, the movie's soon over. Like I say, we have the, you know, just the whole closing thing with them all being reunited and Optimus Prime taking the bomb and out to space and hiding it somewhere safe, and then waging war, you know, in the narration declaring war on Galvatron, and then, you know, cut to credits. So yeah, it's not. It's kind of like, you know, there wasn't again, because with these epics, well, I don't know if it'd be right to call well, if you were going to call any of the Transformers epic, it would have to be this one, I think. Like I said, I've even, you know, I've said, like, to, because, like, my parents and a lot of people I know haven't watched Transformers, you know. And I said, well, you know, by the sounds of it, if you were going to watch a Transformers movie, it'd probably be best to make it this one, the fourth one. But yeah, I'll probably be there for the fifth one, and I hope Mark Wahlberg will be back for the fifth one. I'm sure he will, you know, because like I say, he's really good. And I hope Stanley Tucci's back for the fifth one, because again, he stole the show. Like, just some of it, the lines he must have ad-libbed when he was in that whole China battle scene, because there's even a scene when he's complaining to Mark Wahlberg saying, you know, and he's having a go at Mark Wahlberg, and then Mark Wahlberg says, "You think you can do any better? Here, take the gun, be my guest." And then obviously Stanley says, "No, you're good for the gun. You're good with the gun. You're fine. You do it. You're doing a great job." Like I said, I love Stanley Tucci because he was really good in that one as well, from last year, Jack the Giant Slayer. But because he's a guy that I never really used to, you know, I didn't really watch many of his movies, but since this and since Jack the Giant Slayer, he's awesome. Yeah, so honestly, if those two are back for number 5, Stanley Tucci and Mark Wahlberg, I'll be there. I really will be there. But yeah, I was so pleased with this movie. It really surprised. And one thing I was saying is, and it was the same thing with when I watched The Wolverine and when I watched Days of Future Past. When I went into those movies, because obviously I wasn't a fan of the series, you know, I didn't really have any expertise, any knowledge of the series. It was just nice to go in there and enjoy the movie, but yet not have that, like, fanboy investment in it, so I could just go in there and watch it as a casual viewer, because unashamedly, you know, and a lot of people know this, that I'm a Lord of the Rings guy. Up until recently I was a Hobbit guy, but I've been somewhat alienated by that trilogy. I'm having some problems with you know, I'm still going to see the final movie, but, you know, that trilogy it's been something of a disappointment. But yeah, I'm certainly a Lord of the Rings guy, but obviously the way I watch those movies is different to the way I watch this movie, you know. So kind of like, I can't watch Lord of the Rings or even The Hobbit as a casual viewer, you know. So it was so nice to have that with these movies, Days of Future Past and Transformers 4. So that's one of the things that made this movie go and experience that much more enjoyable, and made me enjoy the movie even more. And you know, again, one of the nice things about this movie is, because even if you're not a fan of the like the Transformers universe, you can't deny that there's some spectacular visuals in this movie, and rightly so considering the budget. But yeah, you know, like there was I'm not sure the exact you know, but obviously it was in the hundreds of millions, of course. You know, it's Michael Bay, why, how could it not be? But yeah, and it was one of those where, yeah, there was a hell of a lot of money spent on this movie, but it shows, it genuinely shows. Like, there's some spectacular and gorgeous visuals in this movie, so even seeing it for that made it enjoyable and worthwhile, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I think I might get round to getting this one on Blu-ray as well. You know, I'm not gonna get the box set, you know, because there probably will be, like, you know, all 4 movies. They'll probably release it in a box set. I won't be getting that. I think I'll just stick to getting the 4th movie if I, you know. But yeah, I'd be happy to get that on Blu-ray. Yeah, but I'm glad I decided to go see it. Like I say, a lot better. Like I say, I did go, admittedly, you know, I hold my hands up. I went in there with low expectations, you know. Like I say, I was, you know, like I even said, I'm gonna try and make it through. I was harsh on this movie, and I held my hands up. I was completely wrong. I was wrong. I had no reason to worry. This movie is such an enjoyable popcorn flick. Yeah, like I say, I should just stop being such a goddamn snob about this, you know, and just enjoy, you know. Like I say, this is how much of a snob I am. Like I say, see this Michael Bay Transformers movie. This is gonna be terrible. But yeah, Million Ways to Die in the West, I went into that with high expectations. That was absolutely, yeah, I hated that movie. That movie sucked, you know. So if I should be given, you know, if I should be being harsh on any movie, it's that one. I should be behind this Transformers 4 all the way. I should be singing its praises. I should, you know, like this, because this movie deserves it. Whereas Million Ways to Die in the West sucked, you know. But yeah, I was talking up that movie, saying, "Oh, this is going to be really good," you know. Whereas I've been unfairly harsh on Transformers 4. But like I say, I was wrong, and I admit it. And you know what? I'm glad I was wrong. And again, you know, you don't want to go into, you know, you don't want to go into a near 3-hour movie wanting to hate it, you know, because where's the sense in that? But yeah, like I say, I mean, the parts of the movie where it dragged, but it didn't feel like a near 3-hour movie, because I think it's like 2 hours 40, between 2 hours 40 and 3 hours. It didn't really feel that long. I mean, yeah, it dragged in some parts, but no, before you knew it, it was over, you know. But yeah, really good. I would recommend it. Yeah, go see it. If you're curious, or if you hated the last 3 and aren't sure about this one, seriously, go see this one, because trust me, the fact that they've switched Shia LaBeouf out for a competent lead actor has made a hell of a difference. Trust me, Mark Wahlberg does not let the side down. Trust me. And like I say, he gets great support from Stanley Tucci and Kelsey Grammer. And like I say, great visuals, great production design. You know, I mean, yeah, there are some groan-worthy moments, like his sidekick, the comic relief. He's groan-worthy, but like I say, he gets killed off in the first hour of the movie. And you know, some of the shenanigans that the Transformers get up to, that's pretty groan-worthy, but that's pretty minimal, really. You know. And at least you don't, and like I say, at least you don't have to worry about having a whiny lead character, because Mark Wahlberg is just like goes into action hero mode, you know, so you don't have to worry there. and like I say, some great action sequences, and that fight between Mark Wahlberg and that guy who worked for Kelsey Grammer was one of my highlights of the movie. But yeah, I was so happy with it, and like I say, if you guys go and see it, I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, it was a pleasant surprise. It genuinely was. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's something I meant. Sorry to go on a tangent. This isn't related to the movie. It was just my movie going experiences. Something really bizarre happened at Cineworld this time. I think they're bringing in seat allocation, and that sucks. Cause like I got the ticket and then they said, "Oh, you're in row L, seat 13." I think it was. I think that's never happened before, and that was kind of like a downside. I don't want to be allocated a seat. I don't want to be told where I can and can't sit. But fortunately, it wasn't bad because I still had basically it was like I still had a good view of the screen, and still had plenty of space, so I couldn't complain. But this may be a theme that recurs in these reviews and from now on, goddamn seat allocation, that might be a morning topic for me from now on, but I apologise in advance, but I think actually you can book online, and then you can pick your seat online, so maybe I should do it like that, and at least I can't complain. But sorry to go off on that tangent, but it is really bizarre because that's the first time I've ever really had experience that, being allocated a particular seat. Usually you just can sit where you want, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Again, sorry to go off on that tangent, but yes, a solid popcorn flick. Mark Wahlberg's great, Stanley Tucci's great, Kelsey Grammer's great, and of course, plenty of Optimus Prime and the other Transformers in this movie. One thing I thought some of the voice acting of some of the Transformers was pretty lousy, but Optimus Prime was good. But again, you guys who have watched the previous Transformers movies, you're probably thinking, "Oh, tell me about it. Where the hell have you been?" But sorry to tell you something that you probably already know. But again, you can get past that. It's pretty minor, really. But yeah, a thoroughly enjoyable movie. I really liked it, and I hope you guys do too. And I think you probably will. Even if you've hated the previous three, or even if you haven't seen the previous three, and we're just thinking about going to see this one. I mean, I was surprised how easily I picked it up and got into it, But hey, I had no problems, so I don't think other people will. I think other people would be able to just get straight into it without having seen the previous three movies. So yeah, even if you haven't seen them, and even if you didn't like the previous three, give this movie a chance, please. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching, of course. And yeah, again, apologies for this review being all over the place, as my review style so often is. But like I say, as always, when you see the movie, this'll all make sense to you. But yes, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright, thanks guys, bye.